Now let's take a look at some key physical features we find in Southeast Asia. First off, we have archipelagos, Archipelago, archipelago. And essentially all those are is just a chain or group of islands that are close together. And so the Indonesia archipelago is one, and then we also have the Philippines archipelago. We also have two key important peninsulas. We begin with the Indochina Peninsula. Once again, a peninsula is surrounded on three sides by water. And we also have the Malay Peninsula, M-A-L-A-Y. So this is also surrounded on three sides by water. We also have a narrow land bridge, or an isthmus, I-S-T-H-M-U-S, that connects the Malay Peninsula, and then this narrow, thin land bridge that then connects with mainland Southeast Asia. We also have some important rivers, and so we have the Irrawaddy River, which goes through Burma, the Salween River, which also goes through Burma, the Mekong River, very important river, which goes through several different countries. Interestingly enough, all three of these rivers begin in the Himalayan mountains, begin in the upland areas of China, and then work their way, of course, downslope, downstream. So if you look at the Mekong River, begins in China. So with China all of a sudden dams up the river right through here, it's then definitely going to affect the amount of flow that then goes through here. And then the people in Burma and Laos are then affected. I would say Burma might dump a bunch of chemicals into the water. Well, then now Laos and Thailand have to deal with that as the river then moves its way, forms a border between Laos and Thailand. And it would say Laos and Thailand then start dumping more stuff in the river. Then Cambodia has to deal with it, and on and on and on. So this is definitely a cause of some tension in Southeast Asia. Is the Mekong River and these rivers? What happens upstream can affect the countries downstream. So can these countries get along? So those are some mainland physical features. Now let's go ahead and look at some key water bodies. And so we of course have on one side of Southeast Asia the Indian Ocean, and on the other side the Pacific Ocean. We also have some cleverly named seas. We have the Philippine Sea, which is over here right next to the Philippines, and also the South China Sea, which is south of China. We're going to come back to the South China Sea, but it's very important. There's a reason why I'm emphasizing it here in this video. We also have other seas, the Sulu Sea, the Celebes Sea, the Banda Sea, Flores, Java. All this makes sense because we have all of these archipelagos, so we have these peninsulas, and so we're also going to have a lot of these small little seas and bays in particular areas. So we have the Gulf of Thailand, and look at Bangkok, kind of protected here in the Gulf of Thailand. Also have the Andaman Sea, then the Gulf of Tonkin, which you might have read about in history class, especially U.S. history class. Of course, there are also several key important islands. And so the first one, Sumatra, island of Indonesia. We're going to come back and talk about the tsunami that occurred here and definitely impacted Sumatra. We also have Java, very densely populated, in which it has the capital of Indonesia, Jakarta. There's also this small island called Bali, very much a tourist destination for a lot of Americans, a lot of young people. We also have another island, Timor, which is separated by two different countries. On one side is part of Indonesia, and on the other side is East Timor, which is its own country. We also have the island of New Guinea, in which on one half of the island is Indonesia. We also have Sulawesi, and there is some conflict on Sulawesi, although it is all in the country of Indonesia. We have a big old island here called Borneo, in which three different countries are found. We've got Indonesia for most of the two-thirds of the island. We also have Malaysia, and then we also have Brunei, which is actually kind of separated just a tad here. It's two parts here on the island of Borneo. We also have, of course, all these individual islands that are part of the Philippines archipelago. But very important, we have what we call the Spratly Islands. And so although they're very small, they're very minuscule, they are extremely important. And I can really show that and emphasize that when we look at the shipping lane map. And so the Spratly Islands, what goes right through them is some major shipping lanes. So a huge amount of the global economy comes through the Spratly Islands, which is a point of contention here, in which these different countries are now claiming these islands because they have power. They have control. They also have some resources there. But those shipping networks, they have to come through there. Then, of course, you got to pay the toll and all that good stuff. You have power, you have control. And so China is really trying to influence the area. And so they're actually building and creating islands in the South China Sea, a part of these Spratly Islands. We also have another very important strait, another very important shipping lane, and that's the Strait of Malacca. So much. Look at this kind of how everything comes right through here, whether it's going this way or that way. And when we think about anything going through Asia, going to Europe, going through, from Europe to Asia, to China, to Japan, it has to come through, for the most part, through the Strait of Malacca. So a lot of your goods from Activity 1 come through this particular strait.